Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
Welcome back to the Think Factory podcast, powered by OGC Solutions. And I'm your host, Chris Santomasimo. And I'm having a wonderful time here in North Syracuse, New York, meeting with the folks at NextGen Label. In the room with me is Dan Rosenbaum, the president and CEO, and Jessica McCarthy, the chief human resources officer. So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Thanks for joining. I just had the privilege to walk around the facility and see what you're doing. Impressive place. I'm actually sitting in the showroom. I wish we were on camera to see all the amazing brands in this showroom that are customers of NextGen. So fantastic stuff. I would really like to just start really at the beginning. Have you guys talk about NextGen and where you started and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. You want to start, Jess?
Yeah, so just a little bit about me and my career. I started in human resources at a nonprofit in New York City. I had a fantastic mentor who taught me the ins and outs of HR. And there I was promoted from HR assistant to senior director of HR and administration, joining the leadership team within a 5-year period. When I relocated back to Syracuse, New York, I started working at Syracuse Label and Surround Printing in the print industry. We were a 100% employee-owned company prior to the merger with Macron Printed Products in 2022. And at NextGen Label Group, I oversee all things HR, talent acquisition and retention, compensation and benefits, employee engagement and culture, employee relations and compliance. And with my most recent promotion to Chief Human Resources Officer, I also collaboratively lead the marketing team to ensure that our brand custodianship core values are shared and consistent, both internally with our employee owners, but also externally with our customers, suppliers, and the broader marketplace.
Fantastic. And I want to get back to talk a little bit more about NextGen being an employee-owned company for sure, because I think that's part of your culture. It's part of your fabric.
It definitely is, yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so my name is Dan Rosenbaum. I am, as of Tuesday, the CEO and president of NextGen Label Group.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I began my career with KPMG, so a Big Four accounting firm based in Albany, New York. That was the office I worked out of. I was there for about a decade, rising to the rank of senior audit manager. So at the time, I was servicing multinational SEC registrants, primarily in the aerospace and defense sector, and I also had a large software company. So when I left in 2019, I found a controllership role with Macron Printed Products, and my predecessor at Wickstead was preparing for retirement. So I succeeded him as CFO of Macron Printed Products and Van Alstyne and Sons. And then through the merger in 2022, I became the CFO of NextGen Label Group. So through that, it was part of that planned transition or leadership transition that we had been working on since the merger. And it actually culminated this week with Jess assuming the role of Chief Human Resources Officer, myself as CEO, and then Andrew Horvath, a gentleman I worked with at KPMG, assuming the role of CFO.
Yeah, it was a nice orderly transition,
right.
And even the way it was announced in the trade publications, I thought was great. I mean, it showed that there's a lot of forethought into how the company is organized and how it's running and growing and scaling, etc. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Well done.
Yeah, I think you'll hear that kind of throughout our conversation. Succession planning is a very thoughtful process here at NextGen Label Group. But to give you a little bit of background on NextGen Label Group, and I guess a brief history, we are 100% employee owned, and we specialize in pressure-sensitive labels, flexible packaging, shrink sleeves, RFID, and resealable labels. We also have a division that provides manufacturing equipment and supplies to local manufacturers, primarily in the Northeast. That's our Van Alstyne division. NextGen Label Group rebranded our company name following the merger of Syracuse Label and Surround Printing in Syracuse, New York, and Macran Printed Products in Cohoes, New York. And I think the name really defines our culture, mission, and philosophy. So we deliver a next generation employee experience. We also provide a next generation customer experience to our customers. But we also provide a next generation solution to our customers. So you'll kind of hear that weaved throughout our conversation today around brand custodianship and our core values at NextGen Label Group. Syracuse Label, just giving you a really brief history on Syracuse Label and that division.
I think the history of how companies became what they are now and tracing the roots, I think, is so interesting, and it really, it's interesting to see how you made the transition as well as how you retained that, that historical fabric, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. It's not lost. Even as I came to your building, you still have Syracuse Label out front.
Definitely. Yeah. The legacy of each division was a big part of the merger and ensuring that we continued on with the legacies of, the previous leadership. So Syracuse Label was founded in 1967. It was actually founded in the founder's garage, Roscoe Town. So it's one of those garage founding stories. It became 100% employee owned in 2007, and that's the same year that Cappy Alimo assumed the role of president. Essentially, the company, kind of going back to the succession planning, Peter Rhodes was the president at the time. And he made the decision to sell the company to his employees through an employee stock ownership plan, through an ESOP plan. And this was part of his succession plan. So instead of selling to an outsider or an outside company, he felt that the internal group of managers, if they were willing to do what an outside company was willing to do, that they should own the company and it should be to their benefit. So I think Syracuse Label has a great story and how they became an employee-owned company.
No, for sure. And it's evident as you walk around your production floor about, the forethought, the organization, the technology that you're using to really provide, some traditional things, of course, but of a special quality. But even some of the other products that you're providing to your customers are really actually next gen, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So then I'll speak for the Macran Van Alstyne side. So Van Alstyne and Sons was founded in 1950 by Bill Van Alstyne I. Like Jess mentioned, it's a distributor of packaging supplies and equipment. It still operates today. In 1972, they spun off Macran Printed Products, and that was the Flexo label print side of the business. So in 2018, Nick Van Alstyne, who was a third-generation family owner, very similar. He decided to sell the business to the employees through an ESOP transaction as an alternative to selling to PE-backed firms or ventures, and it was 100% employee-owned. So then, in the years prior to the merger, our industry was seeing a lot of consolidation. So the PE-backed ventures were getting larger, and it was creating some challenges for us to compete in the marketplace. So through this merger of three employee-owned companies, we were able to create scale, create purchasing power, provide security for our employee owners, and protect the proud legacies that these generational businesses had created over the past 50 some odd years. And ultimately our goal is to sustain growth and profitability for our employee owners in an extremely competitive mid-market space. So that's how we came to be.
Yeah, and I've been around the printing industry a long time too, and I see the companies that prosper, and it's because of the efficiency that they have and the technology, but more importantly, I think it's also about the team that they have, because the best equipment and technology in the world doesn't work very well without good people that know what they're doing and care, really.
Yeah, for sure, Chris. So today I think it's a great lead-in. So primarily we focus on packaging solutions we'll go over some of the markets and the products that we sell, and then Jess will really speak to the employee-centric tenet to talk about the team. So we're heavily focused in the wine, spirits, craft beer. We also have ready-to-drink beverages, some durables, health and beauty. As Jess mentioned, we do sell pressure-sensitive labels, shrink sleeve, flexible packaging, etc. We have 3 facilities. You're in our Syracuse facility today. Some nationally recognized brands.
Yes.
Include Fireball Whiskey. You may have indulged at one time on that brand. And we also have Waiakea Water, Sweet Baby Ray's, and Ortega for some other nationally recognized brands. So complementary to our business is the Van Alstyne division. So there is some cross-selling between those. And our Van Alstyne division actually can sell labeling systems, inkjet systems, to our label customers. So the two businesses really complement each other well. And it all starts with the employees. So I think Jess can speak to the great team of employee owners that we have.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head about, we can't do what we're doing here without our people. And I think that was recognized by our predecessors, Kathy Alimo, Nick Van Alstyne, when they decided, or when the decision was made to become employee-owned. Because when you're employee-owned, you have a direct stake in the company's success. Essentially what it means is you receive shares of company stock annually. So as an employee owner, you're receiving shares. And that gives our employee owners a financial interest in the company's growth and performance. So unlike shares of a public company, which are bought and sold on the stock market, our ESOP shares are held in a trust and contributions are made annually to our employee owners. Again, I think I've witnessed this, I think Dan has witnessed this, but it really drives a stronger workplace culture here. And it gives our employee owners a sense of pride in the work that they're doing. Teamwork is really valued here. We all have a shared purpose. And I think it leads to higher job satisfaction when at the end of the day, what you're putting in has an impact on our share value. It also leads to higher retention rates amongst our employee cohort. And, I think when employees have a stake in the company, they are more motivated to problem solve, to drive efficiencies and innovation. And we see that every day. Problems arise and our employee owners are there to rise to the challenge and try to navigate and address the problems for our customers. I think being employee owned also provides us with a competitive advantage because our employees have such a pride in ownership. It leads to better customer service. It leads to better quality. And then it also leads to better products and innovative solutions because our employees are, again, problem solving day in and day out. The one way that we also tie in our shared success is a performance incentive bonus. So as a means of rewarding our employee owners for their dedication, their commitment, and hard work towards making our employee-owned company more profitable, our employee owners understand profitability as well. We introduced a performance incentive bonus, which is based on targets that we announce annually, revenue targets, profitability targets, and we're consistently, as you saw around the building, we have digital signage that's providing information about where we are each day in regards to our targets. And we have employee owner meetings, all staff meetings, where we are addressing, where we are in relation to these targets. So, that's another incentive that our employee owners appreciate by working here.
And you've given them visibility as well as, your daily visibility
right.
or weekly visibility, which I think is important to, announce the goal, but provide the mechanism to achieve it and know where you stand all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I suspect in an ESOP-owned company that you're very focused on servant leadership in a way, right? Where you're there not only to manage, but you're also there to what's the word I want to use? Nurture, really, right? And your job is to provide for them, but they're working for you. I mean, it's a very sort of cohesive fabric, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a very collaborative environment that we have as an employee-owned company, and I think we have a very collaborative leadership team. I think we all respect each other's opinions. We all dive in and address problems from our various perspectives, and I think that's exactly what we have with our employee owners, a very collaborative team. And it's ground up too. Our employees are the ones who are doing the work day in and day out. So if they identify an issue or a problem, they're the ones who raise it up and bring it to, their managers. And they also are problem solving each day. So I think the collaboration amongst our teams is what really drives our employee ownership values.
Well, Jessica, you mentioned the concept of brand guardianship when you were doing the introduction.
Brand custodianship, yes.
Custodianship, I'm sorry. Yeah, for sure. Tell me I think I know what you mean, but I'd like to hear your take on it.
Yeah, so as employee owners at NextGen Label Group, we strive to be custodians of our customer's brand. And there really are 3 tenets that go into our brand custodianship messaging. So it's our value of being employee-centric, our value of being customer-centric, and our core value of being solution-centric. So all of that goes into brand custodianship. In terms of employee-centric, this means, and again, I think it lines up really nicely with our employee ownership company model, but this means that we prioritize the well-being, satisfaction, and growth of our employee owners. And we do this by providing stability, clarity of communication, acting with integrity, and that's expected of our leaders, but also all of our employee owners. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to bring in brand custodianship again. We are brand custodians of NextGen Label Group as well. So we're acting as brand custodians of our customers, but we're also brand custodians for NextGen. And we really believe in that and try to act with integrity. And then we all work to maintain growth and profitability for our employee owners. And that's what really drives the employee-centric piece of brand custodianship.
Yeah, and thanks, Jess. It's a nice lead into the next 2 tenets being customer-centric and solution-centric of the brand custodianship model. So again, if you're meeting the needs of your employees, which is why Jess's role is so critical, we're then set up to fulfill the needs of our customers. So when we say customer-centric, we really mean that we understand the customer's vision. We pay close attention to detail. Our ultimate goal is to not only fulfill their needs, but exceed their expectations. And that leads into the next tenet, which is being solution-centric. So what we mean there is our goal is to deliver next-generation solutions, and we'll talk a little bit more about those newer products we have. But again, we must never ask our customers to compromise. We aggressively pursue R&D, innovation, and investments in the next generation of technology. And we'll also speak to some of our more recent asset purchases and some exciting purchases we have planned in 2025.
The one word that pops out of what you said in my mind is solutions.
Right.
At the end of the day, I mean, you can tell how much we care about it, given the name of our firm.
Right.
But tell me what you think about when you say solutions, because I think about it as a combination of offerings that really speak to satisfying a need and maybe exceeding that need. Right?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, we have customers that they need inventory programs that are specifically tailored to suit their business. So we can create a program where we're just operating and manufacturing labels off of a forecast. They don't even need to place an order. We're going to constantly track their inventory and make sure we never run them out of product. So we'll even integrate with their systems. So that's on just the day-to-day blocking and tackling of supporting the business. But when it comes to coming up with a solution, brand owners can come to us with a concept for a new label, a new brand. Really, they'll come to us with an idea. And NextGen, how can we actually manufacture it? How can we get it on our container? And I think that's where we really excel. So as a perfect example, we recently invested in it's called a G5 hybrid press, purchased from Heidelberg, and it went on our shop floor last year in our Cohoes location. So this press is it's big. It's 17-inch wide press. It's got 8 colors, 5 a digital print unit in the middle. So it's actually a 15-color press, and it's unique because it enables our brand owners to experiment with their packaging designs on our hybrid press, and then they can also move over to our Label Master press, which is our 17-inch asset that's 14 colors, flexo rotary screen. So they can design their label, experiment with test markets on our hybrid press, and then scale up to our 17-inch, 14-color asset. It provides a really unique opportunity to be the custodians of our customers' brands from that sense.
Well, you're really fueling their fire, so to speak.
Right.
They just have this concept and have no idea how to get it, into
Right.
something visual and something that's tactile.
Right.
That's where you provide it from beginning to end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we really excel with the highly embellished, difficult applications. That's why our customers come to us to meet their needs when perhaps other converters have fallen short or been unable to fulfill their needs.
It seems like really nothing is beyond what you're capable of here.
Yeah, I would agree, Chris. I mean, through the merger, we have 17 printing assets. We'll add our 18th in the next 12 months. We have the full gamut. We have the HP technology, which is toner-based. We have the Domino inkjet technology. We have flexo. We have rotary screen. We have all the embellishments you could think of. The G5 hybrid press really cemented the last need we needed to fulfill, and that was that hybrid asset. So again, there's really, outside of gravure and offset printing, if it's flexo, we can handle it, and we'll exceed our customers' expectations.
Yeah. And the technology platform is really important anymore, too, because,
Right.
again, your ability to link in with their systems, for example,
Right.
and your ability to manage effectively is critical. And what I'm really impressed with is your ability to shift between your facilities,
Yeah.
which has got to be great for opportunities because you've got that disaster preparedness built into the company.
Yeah, for sure. And we can actually highlight our new business system. So we just went live on a new business system called CERM for the label printing operation. And in April of last year, the Syracuse label facility went live. And in January of this year, the Macaran facility went live. So what that enabled us to do is, now that we're finally on one system, we can load balance. So if the lead times are a little high in one plant, we can move work over. We can also better match our press capabilities to the book of business that each individual legacy company had. So that enables us to improve efficiencies, throughput, and just better service our accounts. So it's been 2 years in the making. We're finally on one system, and we're really excited. We're really just scratching the surface on what the system is capable of.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And you even impressed me. We don't have to get into the detail about it to don't want to spoil the secret sauce.
Yeah.
But even your equipment suppliers are impressed with the speed and the efficiency of your process.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. One of the newer solutions is the RFID label. And if you're familiar with the Walmart RFID mandate, it mandates in certain departments that suppliers supply goods with RFID chips embedded in the prime label. So we're able to accomplish that, and through our equipment supplier, we actually went above and beyond developing a unique way of actually inlaying the RFID inlay at a speed that is significantly faster than that of our competition. So that's just part of the innovation that our team of engineers internally has been able to bring to the marketplace and provide that competitive advantage and those low-cost solutions to really fulfill our customers' needs.
Yeah. And that really feeds into the lean manufacturing focus of the company that we talked about as we did the tour, that you were set up from the very beginning in terms of how you run the business, where the equipment is located to be super efficient and fast.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely went into the thought process when building the new facility for Syracuse Label in 2016. Lean manufacturing and reducing the amount of waste and increasing efficiencies. So yeah, definitely a big part of our process.
And I think, Chris, just to add on to that, continuous improvement is always a part of our solution-centric model, right? Our operations team, our technical team are always looking to drive cost out of our P&L, try lower cost alternatives, but we're also trying to automate our process. So through the new hybrid press purchase, and now another one slated for in the next 12 months. This next press will have automatic unwind rewind. So that will further automate some of the manual aspects of printing and just provide for greater throughput and provide our employee owners with the tools and the newest, latest equipment to succeed and excel at their craft.
And what are some of the things you do to take the ideas from the employee owners and sort of channel them up to think about continuous improvement?
Yeah, I mean, do you want me to start off, Jess, on that?
Yeah,
Sure. So, so it really starts that no idea is a bad idea. So our suite leaders, Nick Noyes, our COO, Paul Rue, our Chief Technical Officer, Tom Mason, our VP of Sales, combined, they have 90 years of printing and labeling experience, and they are extremely knowledgeable. So they're working with our mid-level management and the teams doing continuous improvement events, Kaizen events. They're constantly looking for how can we improve our process, become more efficient. It also kind of starts too from the employees up. So they may have an idea that they bring to their supervisor or their suite leader, and we'll try it. And that's really where we excel. We task Nick with driving. It's about 0.5% to 1% of revenue out of our P&L each year from a CI perspective. Paul Rue, our Chief Technical Officer, has about the same goal from a raw materials improvement perspective. And they execute, and they do a really nice job there.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, I think, again, going back to the collaboration amongst the team, we do want our employee owners to raise up any efficiencies that they're seeing, and we've encouraged that type of culture here, and I think that's one of the best ways that we get this feedback, and who better to provide us with that than the people that are actually doing the jobs every day.
Yeah, they're the ones, if they're in tune with what they do and they know that they have the outlet to share, I mean, that just enhances their value to the organization.
Right.
After all, for sure. In terms of innovations, certainly the new hybrid press from Heidelberg is got to be a key acquisition. I know you're thinking about some others. What are some of the other innovative things that we're seeing here at NextGen? Sure.
Yeah. So we mentioned the RFID label. So I don't have to speak much more about that. But two other recent innovations. One of them is through Kingston Aluminum Technology, or CAT. We have developed shrink sleeve technology that runs in tandem with their aluminum can technology. So in my hands here, I'm holding a...
This is one of the times that I wish we had a video podcast.
Yeah.
This thing is very...
So I'll describe it. So what it is it's about a 10-ounce container for maple syrup, and it's an aluminum can that is actually embossed with a Canadian maple leaf and a barrel design. So that is the CAT proprietary technology to actually make that container. And what we do is we sell the shrink sleeve that is printed to a degree where they can apply the maple leaf, which is in red, and the barrel, which is in brown and silver, and line it up exactly with the embossing. So that's really ideal for those brand owners that are trying to reach that new consumer that picks this up on the shelf and says, man, this is a neat looking package, I'm going to buy this product.
Yeah, and to further describe it, it's basically like a hot sauce bottle.
Exactly.
That shape,
yep.
Right? But you don't typically see maple syrup in.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's a unique package, and they'll do things as crazy as picture like an octopus or a kraken with tentacles, and we'll print the little individual tentacles, and it'll line up exactly with the embossing on the container. So it's a really unique technology.
We'll talk about the precision that you need to be able to match it up just exactly on the line too. That's no joke.
Yeah, it's challenging for sure, and that's where our pre-press team really excels. So on the front end, they're extremely knowledgeable on shrink sleeve printing. We've done a lot of R&D internally to get the distortion factors exactly right. But that's only half the battle. The next half is actually executing in the press room and ensuring that we're printing and we're staying within registration. So we've invested in AVT vision systems on majority of our larger web presses, which ensures that our print stays within registration and at a tolerance that's precise enough to hit the exact embossing on the CAT container.
That's phenomenal. And you had another one you were going to talk about.
Yeah, the other one I'm really excited about is called TLC, or the thicker label closure. So what that is if you can picture like a baby wipes package that might have a rigid plastic lid on the top that opens and snaps shut when the consumer takes a wipe out. what our technology does, and it's patented by our partner in the UK, it actually it's a label that goes on in place of that rigid lid. And what it does is a lot of benefits for not only the co-packer who actually procures the product, but actually the consumer. So that plastic lid is about 5 times thicker than that resealable label that we offer. And what also the benefit is when you close that lid, there's moisture still escaping from the package after it's been open. This label reseal that we sell, it actually forms a hermetic seal around the package and enables moisture to not escape, and it makes the package actually last longer for the consumer. So not only is it less transportation costs, less storage costs, it's more environmentally friendly, and our consumers can actually, or the retailers, they can fit more of these packages in boxes on the shelves. So all in all, it's a game-changing technology. It's widely adopted in the EU right now, and we're hopeful that it'll catch on in the States.
Well, your point about recyclability is and sustainability
Sure.
is important. I think if you can reduce transportation costs, which you can obviously, and I've seen it here in your showroom, and it's, you could just by looking at the package, you can imagine, for example, how many more units you're going to get in a case, and how that's going to multiply into savings on fuel and transportation, et cetera.
And I think it doesn't stop there. I think Jess, you can speak to some of the sustainability questions that we're getting from our suppliers and our trade organization. And
You make these transitions to topics too easy. That's great. I love it. So, we're just serving up segues.
So as you saw, Chris, the Syracuse Label facility is a zero waste to landfill facility. So all of our waste goes to a plant in Pennsylvania and is made into cement and does not go into a landfill. So we're really proud about that initiative and the achievements that has provided our facility in Syracuse. We're also an EcoVadis silver medal recipient. And that was driven by a sustainable assessment that one of our customers required us to have, again, being customer-centric. But we filled out an assessment which included environmental information, labor and human rights information, ethics and sustainability procurement. And so based on all of that, we were awarded the EcoVadis Silver Medal, which is a huge accomplishment for our organization. So those are a few of the sustainable initiatives. We are also a part, I guess I should mention, of the sustainable green printing, which our Syracuse label is a certified facility of that too.
Just the way many consumers don't appreciate what goes into making labels, I don't think they'd have any concept of how much waste actually gets generated from a facility like this. So the ability for you to channel 100% of your waste from the operation to a reusable use, a reusable technology is really impressive.
Yeah, it's a huge achievement for our company in this facility.
Yeah, right. And I think it's cutting edge. It really is.
Yeah.
There aren't too many folks that are able to do it. Luckily, you're geographically in the right spot to be able to do it with that company. But a lot of companies may not even think about it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah. Again, kind of goes back to our solution-centric.
Right.
We're in every course and every department, we're always trying to find different initiatives that drive our innovation.
Yeah, but what you've done too that's impressive is you've invested in all of the right places that enables you to look at those deeper tiers or deeper levels of analysis within the organization. So many companies don't even get to that point, right? Because they're too busy, with the noise of everyday business. But you've been able to drill down to a very deep level. Very impressive.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to the very collaborative nature of our management team. Not only just the depth and experience that we have, but it's also just the ability for our management team to collaborate with our fellow employee owners and really execute the strategy. So, without the teams all working together with that common goal of succeeding as an employee-owned organization, it really wouldn't be possible.
No doubt. Well, you've done a fantastic job to attract a really impressive client base. Again, I wish we had a video for this one.
Yeah.
Although I'm usually glad we don't have a video for personal reasons. But this is super impressive. And I'm curious, though, anything new in the rest of 2025 that you're besides the things you talked about, that you see coming down the pike for you at NextGen?
Yeah, so a couple things. We're going to really focus on expanding our reach in our existing verticals like health and beauty, spirits, beverage. We're also pushing the CAT initiative, the Reseal initiative, and we've already mentioned RFID. So we've talked about those tenants. We've talked about a new asset purchase in the next 12 months. I think some of the things that I would call keeps us up at night from a headwinds perspective, macroeconomic and geopolitical concerns. So from a headwinds perspective, it's tariffs, right? So tariffs, as you saw yesterday, was Liberation Day in the States here. And, we anticipated that as a leadership team. We anticipated some price increases on particularly components coming from overseas. So we're prepared for that. But, in 2025, the cost of labor and energy, it continues to increase, which poses another challenge for us to maintain steady pricing in multi-year arrangements. And lastly, from a geopolitical concern, if on the RFID inlay side, the chip actually comes from Taiwan. So if there were to be some sort of conflict between China and Taiwan, that could throw the whole chip industry, on its head, and we'd have some issues to have to work through as a team.
Yeah, for sure. The good news is that the Taiwanese are going to invest in a plant here in the United
Right.
States, but that doesn't get built overnight, for
Right,
sure.
right.
Yeah.
And I think Jess can probably talk to some of our talent and acquisition strategies for 2025.
Yeah, definitely. So the cost of labor, as Dan mentioned, some of the initiatives in 2025 that, we're trying to do to ensure is really get the word out about the print industry. What we're doing is so innovative. We have so many interesting capabilities, and a lot of people don't know. I think the print industry often gets eclipsed by other types of industries. So we're trying to really push the word out that there's interesting positions in technology, science, graphics, all within the printing industry. So I think one of our goals is just continuing to market NextGen Label Group, but also market the print industry as a viable industry for new employees to work in. We also ensure that our employee ownership culture and our values and the brand custodianship values that we take out into the marketplace are understood by people who maybe are applying here. And I think that's really attractive to people
Right.
when they apply and get to talk to our leadership team, get to tour our facility, get to talk to the people who are actually making the labels that we're producing here. So, I think those are a few of the initiatives. We also continue to benchmark our comp and benefits annually. Through the merger, we were actually able to join a healthcare consortium for the manufacturing industry, and that helps us keep our benefits costs down for our employee owners. It also gives our employee owners choice. So I think, through the merger, there were some other really great benefits that we can do to attract some of this talent in our industry.
And balancing the cost of those things and the effort to get them against the other concerns. You're always trying to strike a balance on your pricing for your customers and the cost of running the business. So those are all channeling back to the stewardship principle we talked about for the ESOP.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, super impressive, guys. This is really a blast, and it was really nice to come back home to Syracuse, where I went to school, as you know. So
Yeah.
it was really great. I would love if you just to sum it up, if you could talk about where people can reach you, and especially if they want to take a look at using your packaging for some of their products.
Sure. You handle our marketing, Jess, so why don't you answer the question?
Yeah, definitely. So, I think our website is a great resource. We have our direct line right there. I'm also happy to answer any questions anyone has. So, my
Yeah.
email. I don't know if you want me to.
No, just
Okay.
the website. Just
Yeah.
give
The website
Yeah.
is a perfect place to start, and it's a great resource. It has all of our product offerings. It has all of our open positions and some examples of what we're doing here at our print facilities.
Yeah, very impressive. And for those that might hear the podcast, I'd encourage you to come see the facility. You'll be impressed for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dan, Jessica. Thank you for a great time here at NextGen Label Group. It was a blast. And just to sign off, this is Chris Santomasimo from OGC Solutions and the Think Factory podcast, and we'll see you next time.